And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, am I looking forward to this segment. I was watching Huckabee the other day, and I became aware of the fact that the Israeli Knesset is going to be holding a special session on January 27th at Auschwitz on the 69th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi death camp. And one of the men who has helped put it all together is still putting it all together, organizing it through his really great organization called FromTheDepths.org. FromTheDepths.org. I don't know if you heard that S. And he's also a former advisor to Israeli Deputy Minister of Defense. And we welcome in Jonny Daniels. Hello, sir.
Hi there. Good
Thanks
morning.
for coming in. It's
My
great.
pleasure.
Yeah. Well, it's not morning. You must be on. You must be on some other time zone.
I've got to tell you, I actually don't know what time zone I'm on at the moment. I'm on about 5 different time zones. I'm good.
That's
though.
okay. It's great to have you here. So tell me how all this came about. That the entire Israeli Knesset is going to Auschwitz.
Right. I'll tell you. I mean, the event really started, and the process and the thought came about around about 6 months ago. I was born and raised in London, England, as you can tell from my...
I had an inkling.
Yeah, from my unique accent. And I grew up around survivors. Survivors was a part of my upbringing. My great-grandparents were survivors from Poland. And my wife's family as well were survivors from Auschwitz-Birkenau, from Hungary originally. And growing up around these survivors, the impact that they had on my life was truly incredible. My whole connection to Israel and even to Judaism really came about as a result of being around these incredible people and listening to what they have to say and understanding that as a Jewish person, I have nowhere else but Israel. And Israel is my safe haven and my home. And I realized that unfortunately, my daughters, my eldest is 4 years old. She isn't going to have the opportunity as I did to speak to a survivor, to hear what they have to say. This is a generation that is leaving us too fast.
And let me just interrupt here. My son, through our synagogue, has not only gone to the homes of survivors for charitable reasons, but also has had survivors come and talk. We have some in our congregation, and it's such a... It blows you away as an adult, and the impact it makes on children is really amazing. But you're right, they're dying off. Right,
and it's incredibly sad. Steve, in Israel, we have a horrific statistic that are survivors dying every hour. And I really thought about this and decided that something needs to be done, first of all, and really foremost, to honor those survivors that are still with us and to remember those that we've lost. And I thought, what's the biggest, most profound, important event that I could do really to honor them and also to help bring the idea and the notion of the Holocaust really back into the education of my age group. I'm 27 years old. And I see my friends and people surrounding me and the lack of knowledge dealing with the Holocaust is truly, truly frightening. So I decided to pick up and go with this. I approached good friends of mine in the Polish government. Needless to say, as you mentioned, I worked previously with the Israeli government and still consult with numerous different parliamentarians and ministers there. And was able, through a little bit of Israeli chutzpah, you could say, to pull this event off and really create just the most wonderful, important, and historic day.
Yeah, it really is. So, how did you go about undertaking this? I mean, who do you go to first with an idea like this?
Well, the first person I went to was my wife, to make sure that she'd realize that I'm not going to be at home for the next 4 or 5 months.
Right.
She agreed, understood. My wife Natalie, she's incredible, and she's really stood behind me and helped this project move forward. And she was a true inspiration in terms of this as well. As I said, both of her grandparents were survivors of Auschwitz-Birkenau. Her grandfather was married with a wife and 2 daughters. His wife and 2 daughters were murdered in Birkenau, meters away from where I'm doing this event. And he was remarried afterwards, and his wife turned out to be my wife's grandmother. But the amazing thing is that my wife, who's 24 years old, again, I'm 27, my wife's 24, had 2 aunts that were murdered in Birkenau.
That is hardly removed. I mean, it's so recent.
It's so recent and it's so close, and this really was the undermining force behind an event like this. And needless to say, after that, the Knesset have been wonderful. The Speaker of the Knesset, Yuli Edelstein, is a true visionary to allow an event like this to happen.
Now this is going to be held indoors. I mean, where is it actually physically going to be held?
Right. So as you can imagine, I mean, we're in New York now. It's pretty cold and snowing.
Yeah. What's the weather in Poland at that time of year?
You really want to know?
No,
you're planning on coming,
very
right?
Bad. I'd like to.
I'm not sure I should tell you. I mean, it's likely to be minus 20 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
It's freezing.
Wow.
It's very cold. Snow. Not difficult. Very difficult circumstances to be in. And even relating to that, I spoke to an incredible survivor, a man of the name of Sigmund Rolat. Wonderful man. And I turned around to him and I said, Sigmund, I'm a bit nervous. It's going to be very cold. These parliamentarians are going to have a difficult time. He leant forward and went, pop, and gave me a little flick on the cheek.
How dare you, right?
And he said, Johnny, I think you're going to be all right for half an hour in the cold.
After what he went through.
With jackets, coats, and I think you'll be okay.
We're talking to Jonny Daniels. He is he's the head, the founder, the CEO, the guy who runs FromTheDepths.org here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and he has organized what will be a historic event, the Israeli Knesset, with a session at Auschwitz on January 27th. So it will be indoors or outdoors?
So we're building a 1,000 square meter tent in Birkenau, to house the main sort of event that's taking place, the main commemorative event that's taking place there. Needless to say, it's a tent with heating and so on and so forth. We're bringing survivors as well. And these survivors are in their 80s and 90s. It's not easy for them.
No, sure not.
This is all going to be heated, and then the memorial service that happens afterwards by their main memorial place in Birkenau will be outside.
Now, let me ask you, is every member of the Knesset resolved to going? I mean, you have Arab members of the Knesset, Palestinian members of the Knesset. Are they all on board?
So I have to tell you that one of the most amazing things, I mean, forget my politics here. This event is purely apolitical. We have been so lucky in the fact that we have members of Knesset from almost every party on board. We have Arab members, Christian members, Druze members, ultra-Orthodox, secular. It's across the board. Every party, almost every party is represented here. And it's really one of the few occasions where you'll see the Knesset coming together. There's never been a trip like this before. The largest ever delegation of the Knesset was 20 years ago with 12 members. We have 120.
And where was that trip to? Do you know?
They can't even remember the Knesset. They're just these rumors.
Must have been a heck of a trip, I'll tell you that.
Fantastic. But here we're creating something memorable. Over 60 members are coming. We have ministers on board. The speaker, as I said, is leading this delegation. A truly phenomenal, historic, and powerful event.
Now, what is involved? I mean, like you said, you told your wife, "I'll see you in 6 months," and you're in the midst of that right now. But besides doing these kinds of interviews, you're looking for funding and help along the way, correct?
Of course. I mean, look, nothing comes for free. And really here we've been very, very particular, even in terms of funding, which is something quite unique. Usually an organization will have some kind of event and hit the big donors and be finished with it. It was incredibly important for me that as many people are involved in even pulling together to put this event on as possible. And really we've been so lucky in the people that have come to our website, FromTheDepths.org, and have sponsored. We have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful group of people behind us, including great people like Stuart Raw, who's come on board and just been fantastic and so helpful and so wonderful with this project. But funding is something that we're always looking for a bit more and help.
Of course, there's never enough funding. So let me ask you. So when this is all said and done, and someone you're sitting here 10 years from now, and you're planning another trip, and you say, this trip is in 10 years from now. This trip's going to be bigger than the one before, and this time you'll remember where the Knesset went, all 60 members or the 60 that are going. How would you hope it's viewed and remembered, present and future?
The importance of this event, more than anything, is to enable the world to see and understand. We're not in an easy situation really ever in terms of Israel. We picked a bad neighborhood, Steve.
Yes,
right?
You did.
Or God picked us.
God picked it, yeah.
Right, but we're not in the best of places, and with all this trouble and turmoil constantly around us, it's so crucial that first of all, we internally understand and learn the lessons from the Holocaust. And there's lessons to be learned there. The most crucial is, as the Prime Minister said, when a crazy man stands up and says he's going to wipe us off the map, we better listen.
Yes.
We better listen. And, you know, as we say in Passover, you know, in every generation, and it's happening again. There are crazy people standing up and saying we're going to wipe us off the map. And we have to listen and internalize and understand that it doesn't matter who says that they're with us. We have to do what the best is for us and take care of ourselves, because no one else is going to help us.
So is this at the same time not only a remembrance and for all the reasons you stated, but is it also a show of solidarity and a kind of not a warning, but a realization, alluding to what you just said, that the threats don't stop, and you're in the midst, Israel's in the midst of still another threat from another madman or mad country that would like to do what Hitler did and quote-unquote finish the job?
Of course. I mean, look, you know, the amazing thing is, Steve, there's no word in Hebrew for history. We call history in Hebrew historia, a play on the English words.
You should just call it history.
Right. You know the reason why there's no word for history?
No.
Because they say that history
repeats itself.
Isn't a Jewish concept.
Yeah.
History is made up of two words. His story. His story is something that is not connected to me. It's something that's separate and different from me. My grandfather's story wasn't his story, it's my story. It's a part of who I am. The Jewish people's history wasn't theirs, it's mine. And we have to learn and understand and really think about this and internalize it. So this day is definitely a message to us, for and foremost, that we have to learn from what happened in the past, and also to our future generations, to enable them to understand that this wasn't in such distant history.
What about Prime Minister Netanyahu? Is he going to send a video? Is he coming? I mean, you would have told me if he was coming. He's behind this project?
I have to tell you that the Prime Minister was wanted to be there and would like to be there. As you can imagine, we have a small issue of security in bringing the majority of the Parliament. And you know that it's something that everyone's a little bit nervous about. Sure. You know, 2 aeroplanes, and I won't go into other details for lots of different reasons. But with that being said, it would have been way too difficult and potentially dangerous to have the Prime Minister with us on that day.
Well, listen, I wish you luck, and if I am lucky enough to tag along, then I will see you there. If not, we will definitely speak after the fact. And this is great, and people could go to the website, to fromthedepths.org, and learn more about it, and learn how to contribute. And really, this is great. I'm really impressed by not only you, but when you tell me your age, because I wouldn't have guessed. Not that you look older, but you make an older presentation of yourself, and to put something like this together at that young age, I mean, it's just amazing. So good luck to you. Thank you for stopping up. I really do appreciate it. And that's Jonny Daniels, ladies and gentlemen. And January 27th, that is going to be amazing. The Israeli Knesset, 60 members strong at Auschwitz on the 69th anniversary of the liberation of the horrendous Nazi death camp. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to be joined by Noah Rothman, editor at Mediaite.com. And we'll try to explain why the folks in the media at the Denver Post won't tell everybody who that Denver high school shooter was. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career,